Indiana, why? I'm up at 3:56 in the morning. I'm up at 3:56 in the morning and I get to watch I thought, you know what, this is going to be a fun game. No. I got to watch a generational choke. And I got to watch one of the biggest choke artists in the NBA when it really, really matters. Actually, to be fair, he's been unbelievable in some Game 7s. It's probably not fair to call him that. I watched Tatum almost choke the game. And then I watched the Indiana Pacers with a generational choke. This is like, obviously not as relevant a game, but this is almost like LeBron in 2018 level choke. How do you have the ball up 3 with like 15 seconds to go and lose? Like, I thought it was over. I genuinely thought it was over. I tweeted out the Draymond thing saying Indiana were regular season with just the word lol. Because I thought, you know what, this one's over. They've won. They've stole game 1 on the road. Which, look, the Celtics are still the favourites for the series if they steal game 1. But at the end of the day, the game's over. Like, the refs favoured Celtics. Indiana Pacers shot 6 free throws in the entire game. 6, and 3 were in overtime. They shot 3 free throws. 3 in regulation. Are you joking me? Like, when we talk about RIGGED, when we talk about games being rigged, like, this was a horribly called game. And there was even, like, down the stretch, basically, again, if the Pacers get this offensive board, they probably go and win the game regulation. Where the ball's there to be won between Siakam and Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown grabs Siakam's jersey. And Siakam, in fairness, goes to tip the ball and hits Draymond Green's arm. So it's like, yeah, cool. Siakam, and it was called as a foul on Siakam. Siakam did foul to hit Draymond Green's arm, but like, the refs, they challenged it. The refs are watching. They ignore the fact that like Draymond Green had Siakam's jersey and said, you know what, nah, challenge unsuccessful. Like, oh, it's just, I can't believe they've done it. I can't believe they did it. Like, throughout this game, Boston had a big lead. Obi Toppin actually had an unbelievable first half to bring them back. In the second half, Boston went out to a huge lead early enough in the third quarter. And then obviously as the third quarter came back, or as the third quarter was drawn to a close, the Pacers started to come back into it. Tyrese Haliburton hit a circus shot to make it a 1-point game going into the fourth. And the Pacers controlled the fourth. Like, until the very end, it was really Al Horford hitting a couple of shots. Derek White balling out. Jrue Holiday having his best game before the Celtics. It was those guys keeping them in it. Sorry about the yawn, it's 4 a.m. It was those guys that kept them in it. And then down the stretch, Jaylen Brown hit a crazy shot. Like, genuinely. Like, that, like, yeah, was a bad defense by the Pacers. But with a guy with a near 7'4" wingspan, hand in your face, having to fake, go up above them and shoot the ball, that's hard to do. Like, that is really hard to do. An unbelievable shot by Jaylen Brown, who obviously had to go and bail out the Celtics, who Tatum could not buy a bucket. He couldn't buy a bucket at the end of regulation or until about a minute to go in overtime. And then in overtime, the Pacers are doing well. Like, the Pacers have a little bit of a lead. Tyrese Haliburton hits a big three-pointer. And then another stage in it, Tyrese Haliburton gets hacked on a three-pointer and hits 3 free throws. But they're up 1. Are they up 1? I don't think they're actually up 1 with the McCaw or with the Neesmith foul. But Tyrese Haliburton turned the ball over a couple of times in overtime. And then, like, Jaylen Brown got an and one. Like, there wasn't Neesmith, Andrew Nembhard. Neesmith got fouled out, who was Tatum's defender, because of a steal from Tyrese Haliburton. And then, or turnover from Tyrese Haliburton. And then it ended up being a case where Andrew Nembhard goes on Tatum. He's going to get cooked. Tatum, who hadn't seen the ball go through the basket, gets an and one just because he was physically bigger. And then he goes and hits a big 3 to make it a 4-point game. And look, they closed it out. In fairness, the Celtics closed it out. But this was a choke. This was a generational choke. And I don't see any way back for the Pacers here. Like, I thought this series, even if the Pacers win today, even if they steal home court, you would still favour the Celtics in this series. Because in fairness, the Pacers are a much better home team than either of the teams that they faced, or the Celtics have faced. But, like, this one was different. This wasn't like the Knicks games where they were just a really good games. They were close. They were in it. This was a choke. There's no other way to describe it. This was a choke. Tyrese Haliburton showing up, as Stephen A. Smith or Skip Bayless would say, he showed up smaller than Mini-Me. He came up so, like, he turned the ball over twice from running out of bounds. In crunch time and in regulation, twice he ran out of bounds. He lost his handle and just ran out of bounds. Like, this is the guy that we call the next Steve Nash. Look, I think Tyrese Haliburton's great, but let's calm it down before we say he's better than prime Steve Nash. Let's calm it down. Tyrese Haliburton's a really good player. Like, he is creeping into the star category, but let's calm it down. Like, again, obviously, really good game in general. Myles Turner came up huge in that fourth quarter. Pascal Siakam did well. And man, Aaron Nesmith, what a player. Just everything he does on the floor, what a freaking player. I cannot believe the Celtics gave up on him so early. They put him in as a throwaway in the Brogdon situation. Sure, he wouldn't be nearly as good as he is now. But like, if the Celtics had Aaron Nesmith, they'd be able to make a sub when it matters. The Celtics bench, Celtics really have to ride their starting five in this series. And that's the one thing. If the Pacers can pull this to 6 and 7, the Celtics are really going to have to ride their starting five. And the rest they've been having, the easy games they've been having, could come back to haunt them for the finals. Because at the end of the day, I want the Celtics to lose more than I want anyone to win. I don't know why. I just hate the Celtics fans. I just hate Celtics fans. Genuinely. They're as annoying as Knicks fans without the passion. Like, I just want them to lose. I'm not going to lie. And it's highly, highly unlikely to lose this series. But I don't even give Pacers a game anymore. That was a demoralizing loss. That almost reminds me of 2018 Cleveland Cavaliers. Game 1. Where the game's over. They've won. Or at least, if they haven't won, they blew it in like spectacular fashion. Absolutely spectacular fashion. And it's hard to come back from that. It really is. And it's hard. It's also even harder to come back from that when you're the worst team. It's not like, for example, Miami in Game 6 last year, where Derek White got the tip in and they absolutely blew it. This Pacers team hasn't been there and done that. That Miami Heat team have been in finals, been in conference finals. They were used to those games. They were used to the big games, whereas this Indiana Pacers team is the first time the Pacers have made the playoffs since Paul George was there. Oladipo was there. Since Oladipo was there, this is the first time they made the playoffs. Still, like, it's their first conference finals since 2014. They're a young enough team, but at the same time, it was a unbelievable choke, which, like, to end a great game. Like, the Celtics pulled away a few times. Jrue was really good. Jaylen Brown was good. Tatum was pretty good. All the Celtics starting five played pretty well. And then the Indiana the Pacers, they just wouldn't go. The Celtics weren't able to pull it away, and the Indiana Pacers just would not fade away. They wouldn't go. They kept it close, and then they played a much better fourth quarter, and they blew it. They just blew it. They blew a game where everything went against them, and they still should have won. Refs weren't on their side. What was it like? Well, that's the biggest thing. Like, refs weren't on their side. They were chasing the game the whole time, and they still were put themselves in a position where only a generational choke would lose them the game, and that's exactly what happened. So anyway, that's the video. Obviously, just initial game reactions. I am incredibly tired. It's 4 a.m. I'll be up in like 5 hours, and I've been up since 9 a.m. So I am exhausted, lads. Apologies if this isn't that coherent. I just want to get an initial game reaction up. Thank you guys for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe.